Hey, what is up guys? Welcome back to another video. So today I'm actually going to be talking about a requested video from one of my subscribers that commented on one of my last videos. And so today is actually going to be talking about eBay returns and my eBay return policy that I use to help me avoid returns. And if I do get a return, make it as smooth as possible. So with that said, let's get into the video. So the first thing we're actually going to talk about is eBay returns and how I deal with them. So for me personally, I haven't had too many because of these certain steps that I took, or precautions you could say, to help mitigate where I'm making descriptions as best as possible. I'm avoiding any confusion with anything that I post. So with that said, brings me to the first point, is being as accurate as possible in the description. One, in the title, you're listing everything that you can. The phone type, the gigabyte, the carrier, and anything that wrong with it, which could be cracked, bad IMEI, anything, you name it, bad LCD. You make it apparent in the title, and therefore you're able to list it correctly on that end. And then you're going to actually make your descriptions as best as possible. That's how I actually avoid getting returns consistently, and I've had very little, as I said, because of these certain things that I'm talking about. But you really don't want to leave anything out in the description. If you want to list it as kind of the same way that you bought it. So every question that you asked when you were buying the phone and in person, you want to leave those answers in the description. So let's say it's bad LCD. You want to say you can't see the screen. You want to, if there's a crack, you want to tell where the crack is. You want to say how big it is, even if you want to say how many centimeters or inches it is. You could say there's a little dent exactly on this place on the phone, bottom right corner, 2 inches from the left. Whatever it is, make it as descriptive as possible. That's beneficial for both you, because the buyer knows exactly what they're getting, so they can't complain once they do get it. And two, the buyer looks at this listing and says, hey, maybe this guy's more trustworthy because he's listing it, and therefore probably going to be a better purchase because I know exactly what I'm buying. So it's beneficial for both you and the buyer to leave descriptions as best as possible. One thing you should note is actually how you're listing your item, the certain conditions. So if I have a brand new sealed thing, I'm listing it as new. If I have something that's opened, like seal has been broken but never used, new other. And if I have something, just a phone, I know it's been used by a different person that I bought, I'm just going to list it as used. Now, if it has anything wrong with it, I listed 4 parts or not working. This is a must that you guys have to be careful of, or you're going to have a lot of returns. And I made this mistake in the beginning with my first ever sold. It was a cracked iPhone 6s, and I listed it as used, when actually in reality you have to list it as 4 parts are not working. Yes, the phone could be working, but it's just an eBay policy you guys need to recognize, because the buyers don't always look at the descriptions, which is kind of dumb for being on eBay. But with that said, they're 99% of the time they're going to return it because they didn't look in the description saying, oh, the phone is actually cracked. But in the reality, they should see it because you should be taking accurate pictures where you can see the crack. But you need to list this for parts are not working. Even if it's cracked, you have to be able to list it in that way, or else you're going to have trouble. So and unless it's like sealed in the box, I never list anything as like brand new. Even if it's broken seal, I click new other, because just you'll recognize through eBay how the system works and what people are listing as, or else you're going to have problems on the other end because people are going to return not knowing exactly what they bought. So another thing that I learned, I actually watched a video about eBay returns a couple weeks ago, and it was actually about a tip that you need to screenshot every single phone's IMEI before you send it out. I've actually seen this happen before, just on videos that I've watched, but people will try to return it saying it's bad IMEI when it's actually not that same IMEI. They'll just get an IMEI that's bad, and I don't know what they do on their back end, but they're screwing over you because you have to return the phone. But with that sense, if you don't have proof, they can send a phone back that's very identical to yours. If it's perfect condition, most likely they'll send a phone back with a different IMEI, but everything else is the same. And then you can get screwed because you have no proof that that wasn't the IMEI of the phone. So you always need to take a screenshot or just a picture of the phone with its IMEI before sending it out, with like the shipping details next to it. So before I ship out every phone, I'll take a picture of the shipping label with the phone and its IMEI like on the screen, just so it confirms if anything ever happens like that to me, I'm safe legally wise and they can't return the phone. So now we're going to talk about actually the actual return. So if once you're listing something, near the bottom you're actually going to see two options. You can either do returns accepted or no returns accepted. It's kind of, I've seen both, I've tried out both, and honestly both have ups and downs. So first, over like looking at the non-returns accepted, you're going to get less views because people don't, the reason you might be listing it is that from an eBay buyer perspective is maybe you're not as trustworthy. So but with that said, eBay has a money-back guarantee for its buyers. So even though you click no returns accepted, it still can be returned if it's not listed properly, and it's different than when they get it, then actually you had portrayed the phone on eBay. So with like that can happen. But with that said, the positive is if they just don't want the phone but it's still working, everything was correct, they can't return it. Whereas if you click returns accepted and list all the details with that, the buyer can actually return it if like simply they found a better price and they want to get a new phone. Maybe they found it cheaper, and they also can return it if like obviously if something's wrong. You can always return a phone if something's wrong and you didn't list it correctly. So that's something you guys should know. But for me personally, I do like returns accepted because I do get better views and obviously more comments and obviously more reviews, and it sells faster because people recognize that, because you can select that when looking for a phone. And the settings that I actually do is I select 14 days, money back. I have the return shipping by the buyer, so if they want to return it, they have to ship it. I don't want to take that cost on. They have to pay the price for that, but I don't have any restocking fee. So those are the kind of certain, that's kind of my eBay policy for every single item that I list. And I make that apparent in the description. I'll write that also, those same things in the description, so they know exactly kind of my policy on that. So let's say a return case actually opens. We're transitioning to if a return actually happens to you. You either want to accept the return or send a message. Don't select any of the two other options, because in those two other options, you're going to have to give money back, and they're going to be keeping the phone. Therefore, you're out of that money plus what the phone is. So never select that. So what I always try to do is I try to ask as many questions to the buyer, because you have a couple days before you actually have to accept the return or deny it or open another case where eBay has to come into play. But I always send a message, make sure like there's nothing wrong. If like nothing is wrong. So I just want to make sure I know exactly what I did wrong, so I don't make the same mistake again. Maybe I listed the item under used and didn't recognize it, but it should have been for parts or something like that. Whatever it may be, I send them a message. And if everything, like if I can recognize that I made the mistakes, which if you're in business, you have to kind of own up to mistakes because it happens to all of us, I'll accept the return. And one thing you need to notice is that you want to work with them, because in the back end, you don't want to have any negative comments, because eBay can shut you down pretty quickly. It's a system where they don't really deal with scammers that much, this is kind of a sticky point, but there are obviously millions of scammers on eBay, but they are able to regulate it very well if you know how to do it on your end. So work with them, or else you're going to get bad reviews on your end, and nobody wants to see that. Therefore, you're not going to sell as many phones. And one thing you guys should notice is if you accept a return, obviously you're going to have to return the money back, but do not give the refund back until you receive the phone and confirm that it's in the same condition that you sold. I've seen horror stories where people will issue the money back, and then they get the phone back and there's like an extra scratch on it when you sold it. So, and then you can't do much, because eBay, as I said, will 99% of the time take the buyer's side, because maybe you didn't take a good enough picture, so they can't confirm that there's an extra scratch. So with that said, always take good pictures. That's just a side note. But I hope this video kind of helps you guys. It's a little bit all over the place because this is a very complicated topic, but take in these steps into consideration. It will help you. actually avoid returns on the long run. And if you get a return, don't worry about it. Just accept it. Obviously, you're getting the phone back if you take these steps right. You're not returning the money before it's sent back. Just own up to it. It happens to the best of us, but learn from your mistakes. That's the biggest reason I've become semi-successful in this business is I've made every mistake you can, but I've never made them twice. So I'm okay with learning a mistake because mistakes in this business mean you're buying a phone. You're not going to lose too much money unless you're really stupid about it. So at least you're getting the phone back in this sense with eBay returns or whatever it may be electronic device wise. But if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to join the family. If you have any video ideas, don't forget to leave a comment down below, either in this video or any of my previous videos. And with that said, I will see you guys tomorrow in the next video.